the heroes of Phandalin travel cross-country towards Icespire Hold. They have spent the entire day trekking through the foothills to the east of Phandalin, just south of the Mountain's Toe gold mine. In fact, Nars suggested we drop in and say hello to the old friend, but it was decided that he was probably very busy with the mine and whatnot, so our party trekked south into the mountain passes that lie between the large behemoth of the geology of the Sword Mountains. As you start looking to make camp for the night, you've gained more than 700 feet in elevation on this travel day, and as the party enters the snowy mountain pass areas that lead through the Sword Mountains, our heroes are feeling the thinner air that is up in this higher elevation begin to take hold of them. And so that is why, with hours to go before sunset, our party has decided to take a break and travel the rest of the distance to Icespire Hold fresh in the morning, perhaps to become acclimated to this change. Already several members of the party remember fondly back to the Phandalin Merchants Fair. There was a clothier who had many fur cloaks on her racks and was not even visited by our adventuring party. I know one of you at least is lamenting back on that. Myrin, with his keen elven eyes, spots a bluff shelter there in the pass, and so the party makes their way to a craggy outcropping of rock where you could easily make camp for the night, burn a fire, not be seen, and what have you. The three of you, Myrin, Willow, and Thardin, have set out on a hunting expedition to try to see if you can find any big game, both to eat on for this evening's meal and to maybe make use of any animal hide that might help protect you from the harsh environment out here.
Myrin has a growing appreciation for the mountain terrain. He had not spent much time prior in this environment, but as he has more recent, it's become easier for him to traverse the setting, to generally feel comfortable where he felt at home in the forest. I think he's coming to appreciate the mountain.
What is on the Druid's mind?
Really glad I have this cloak. It's so warm. Also, is there snow?
Yes.
I love the snow. I'm very excited about the snow.
You can see that there's a storm ahead of you, between you and Icespire Peak.
And Myrin has his this lightweight hood up over, and he's trying to pull it down over his face, trying to cover, but he knows that it's not enough.
So, we may want to find cover through that, or we're gonna freeze to death.
Well, tell me about your cloak, Willow.
I mean, this thing is thick wool. It's so... It's perfect. It's the perfect height for me. It hits about to my ankles, so it doesn't drag the ground, but it fully covers me. It's this really, really thick wool, and the hood is gigantic and just swallows your face and your head. And
have you always worn that, Willow? I don't know if I ever remembered it being so thick and full.
It's actually surprisingly easy to move in, and it's very cozy.
These temperatures are much different up here.
How does the ranger intend to keep his party alive out here in the elements?
Is there anywhere within sight we could camp under some trees or
Yes,
something?
you are camping under a rocky outcropping. It's a large overhang as part of the bluff face as a natural feature. Barbarians use exactly the same sort of shelter in this environment, and Myrin has spied one that is unoccupied, and you've made camp there. And you have left your companion Nars behind there to guard camp and do some cooking of what rations you brought for dinner, and hoping that you would bring back something else, but he's there tending the fire and keeping watch over the stuff. Your ranger friend explains to you that the shelter will keep us safe for this evening. Tomorrow's evening may bring something else if we see it at all.
Our task at hand is to find something to possibly cook this evening as Nars is preparing, and to possibly find something to create some extra warmth around us. This area is bound to be filled with some sort of beast with a pelt that we can retrieve.
Well, you and I could trade off shifts tonight, just kind of keeping an eye on the fire and just things in general.
The day is ours, I think that, or at least the evening, I think that we have time to hunt. I do miss a hunt.
And that is exactly what you guys are out doing. You're hunting for any sort of big game.
Can I do, what would it be, a nature check to just see if there are any local plants that are edible?
Yeah. Roll a nature check for me to see what you can see.
And I'm scouting for the general
18.
area.
You are able to find some indigenous roots that you know about, and harvest them up so that you can at least make somewhat of a stew, a vegetable stew, when you get back. So you collect some of those and put them into the bag of holding. What does the dwarf have on his mind?
Well, Thardin is being not much, even though he's a mountain dwarf, he's not much of an outdoorsman, being where he grew up in Neverwinter. He's more of a city boy. He's more or less concerned with the protection of his friends, and he's gonna trudge along through the snow, as it's hard for him to kind of move through the snow with his short, stumpy legs. But he's trying to keep up. And he's trying to be as quiet as possible with his armor clanking and
Roll
whatnot.
for stealth. With disadvantage, please.
Disadvantage.
Every once in a while, Myrin,
Okay, a 12.
Thardin up out of stuck snow. Just kind of gives him a little nudge up.
Yeah.
He's watching out for you.
Thardin rolled a 12 on his stealth. And
Thardin, you're moving quietly enough not to scare away the game.
Okay, so I'm taking up the rear. I've got my newly found two-handed dragon axe in my hands, and I'm trudging up.
So you can see Mountain's Toe.
Yep.
East of there, we are on the northern face of Icespire Peak right now. Myrin, as you are leading your friends to the northeast, scouting ahead to look at the mountain that you will traverse in your pathway tomorrow, you notice off in the distance a lone rider on a horse approach from the way that you are traveling. So he's coming from the northeast, traveling southwest, as if he were headed towards Phandalin, back the way you came. What do you do?
You see that rider there? Thardin,
Aye!
there's a rider off in the distance.
We wait for him to come to us.
Doesn't look like he's traveling towards us. It seems like he is heading towards Phandalin.
Oh,
The party currently has the high ground on this rider, as you are on the side of the mountain, and he is traveling more through the valley pass where you guys were traveling earlier.
Can I see if he's seen us? Has he spotted us?
Too far away to tell.
If it's even can I see it, the subject at all? Humanoid?
Through your elven eyes, you can see that he's there, but you can't make out that sort of detail. It's still a ways off. You can only see it because of your height advantage.
Should we approach him?
What would a rider be doing out here?
That's just what I was thinking,
We
lad.
haven't seen anybody this entire time.
Should we head back to Nars?
How far away are we from camp?
You've ranged about a mile to the northeast from camp.
So is this only one thing we see off?
Well, Myrin is the only the one that's seen it.
I
Okay.
just told both of you.
I asked Myrin how far. How far away?
How far off is he?
It
Yeah.
looks to be... DM.
He looks to be about 1,000 yards out.
He's about 1,000 yards. We could move in stealth. And then I look you up and down, Thardin. Maybe Willow and I would have an easier time.
Tell you what. Hold on. Hey, Trusty. Could Thardin ride?
Oh, I don't know, lass. That's
Myrin chuckles a little bit.
that's a little out of my realm. That steed you're riding.
You think it might be noisier than it would be?
Not noisy. It's just I don't know if Paladin would want to see me on something like that.
Thardin, you seem uncomfortable.
It's so sweet, though. I fed it some roots earlier. It just kind of
Is there-
fell off the bottom
I'll-
of his jaw, but he tried.
The Druid proposes that Thardin ride on the back of the undead horse as her passenger, while the ranger ranges on foot.
I doubt we would be very sneaky in this. I
Wait.
look at the undead horse. I can't think that anybody would miss that.
Yeah. I just think at least maybe Thardin's armor wouldn't be so loud.
Are we so concerned with sound? Quite honestly, we do not know if it's even a threat.
I am imagining, Myrin, that you're able to identify what detail you can identify if this rider is that it's a human. It's a single human form. You can tell by the silhouette. As he gets closer, you can see that he looks... roll perception for me one more time. Let me see what you can notice as he gets closer. The question being, would the party like to engage with him at all? And if so, they are in a position where the rider is not aware of our party, but our party is aware of him. They could ambush him. They could meet him square on the road, because it's 3-on-1. That you wouldn't I don't believe you'd be thinking in terms of having to stealth from this. It's just a question of whether you want to approach him or not, and how would you do that.
As the heroes of Phandalin, I know that at minimum, I have the inclination to check on any rider heading towards Phandalin. We have not seen anybody out here this entire time. What is his purpose heading towards Phandalin?
Could fire an arrow just ahead of him.
I don't want to cause alarm. Maybe we should approach...
My thoughts are is maybe we tactfully approach this guy and you being in your stealth, keeping us cover, and then you can get the jump on him if he has any ill will towards us.
I think this is possible. I look around for foliage nearby, which I imagine there is, because we're in this forest / mountain terrain. And I don't have anything that's necessarily disguising me in snow. But I think that I should be able to move stealthily at a normal pace while alone. I shouldn't have a problem. At that rate, I would probably just follow the advice and move maybe on keeping the higher ground, and maybe moving in parallel, slightly advanced, so that I'm leading off them as they're moving down the back. I guess this is assuming it's back down the pass. This is lower in the pass.
The rider is approaching you lower in the pass. Correct. Where it's easier to ride. You guys are in rougher terrain. It won't half your movement or anything if it were a combat situation, but it is keeping... you were traveling in it all day because it's the path of least resistance through the mountains to your destination. But since then, you've come up in elevation even more off the path to camp and to hunt, but you've still got your eyes on the path. And so you see him coming towards you through this pass. And you could very easily ambush him. You could I'll say with all the crag activity going on here, you could easily stay stealth from him all day, even though it's starting to become white and you're wearing dark clothing. You can still, you're a ranger, man.
I'm not concerned with it. So I've already moved off, and I've kind of given the visual note to the party that...
So the plan would be to keep eyes on the party, but stay stealth as they're back up and have Willow and Thardin meet this gentleman on the road. And
I'll have an arrow drawn, just like standard arrow, not one of my infused arrows. Whenever I get there.
How close will you be from your vantage point to the road, Myrin?
100 feet.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're also then about 30-40 feet higher than the action on the road. That's how steep it is.
At that height, 100 feet. Yeah. And in map distance.
Yeah.
So
Willow, what were you saying?
How is the visibility weather-wise? You said it started snowing.
Starting to snow. It's flurries.
So nothing obstructive.
It's harder to see in a distance.
Alright. We may not want to stay out here too terribly long then. We don't want to get lost.
Willow's still afraid the ranger can't keep her alive.
Just saying, it's snowing.
You guys might have remembered Willow talking about his want to hunt, so his mind would still be focused on trying to get a hunt after this even.
Yeah, you'll make your way the mile or so that you've come away from camp. You'll still be hunting on that trek back if you choose to go that way.
I might even be multitasking while I'm because as I'm sitting, I'm gonna be sitting there alone as they're going to do this, and I'm gonna be like looking out for game.
Willow, you might be better off doing the talking here when this guy comes. Because of course, I'm not the best at parlaying. My parlaying is using my ox.
That's okay, I'm a little awkward.
You might not want the hermit to parlay either, Thardin.
We'll try our best.
And you guys are going to meet this guy on the road, right near this outcrop of rock about 100 feet away where Myrin is posted up, keeping cover on you. And the rider approaches. You see him.
What does he look like?
He comes into view. He's wearing a black woolen cloak with animal fur all around it and a fur mantle. So a thick black woolen cloak with animal fur around the shoulders and a mantle. He's approaching you guys where you are stopped on in the middle of the pass. He's getting closer to you, and you see him wave.
Well met!
But what's a polite way to flag down strangers?
The hermit would like to know, Thardin. How would you do it in polite society?
Just wave, like we just did.
Oh, cool.
But I don't think he could, with the snow, he might not be able to see us that well.
If only you had a wand of pyrotechnics you could shoot off as a flare. How would that be taken by somebody who wasn't far enough away to speak with you yet? He would see that you had magic, I suppose, and be on his guard. So the rider approaches you even still. He's making no attempt to hurry towards you.
Stop and talk to us.
What do you think, Thardin?
Hi there! How are you?
I say it loud, booming.
He waves again, and over the wind you can barely hear him say, "Oh."
I don't think he's close enough to us, lass. I don't think he can hear us.
Well met.
Well met.
Oh, you heard something?
Yeah, he said well met.
Oh. Well, I can't hear with my helmet. Maybe we should wait and see as he comes in and approaches us. But be on guard.
Yeah, he is.
Don't know what his true intentions are.
So did we tie the horse up, or am I still riding it?
You're on the horse.
Okay.
You've not been off the horse this entire game. Trusty stands beneath you, looking very regal, and stomps her foot and bobs her head and neighs.
For good scratching. Such a good horse.
She likes you a lot, Willow. You and this horse have been nearly inseparable ever since you found her.
Such a good horse.
As you wait, the snow begins to subside a little bit, and you can see him. He's a lot closer now. Willow's eyes can see the horse is like very pretty red color. His mount is this reddish ginger horse with a white spot in the middle of its face, and the man looks to be, he's got this big burly beard and dark hair, long dark hair, and he's wearing this charcoal gray wool cloak with the fur mantle. But as he gets closer, you can see his face. The sun is still up, so but the shadows have grown long in the mountain, and you can see him get close enough to yell, and he's yelling at you, "Hello!" He rides up to you and says, "Well met!"
Well, Matt,
Hi.
it's a cold day, huh?
He's just traveling, and he doesn't seem to want to stop. He starts riding around you.
So, where are you headed? If you don't mind me asking.
Well, I don't know where to Fandolin, and you? How about you?
We were heading up to find the dragon.
He stops his horse.
Vandalin's cleared out. Like, there was a dragon scare and a bunch of them, like, damn near everybody left.
As Myrin sees the party interact, he slowly draws a arrow.
We're going to kill the dragon. It's been ravaging the land. Have
Is
you seen it?
Barthen's provisions still open?
Aye.
I'm just going to Fandolin to pick up some supplies.
Ahead of us. Is there anything ahead of us that we should be aware of?
Oh, there's a dragon!
Aye.
So we are going in the right direction.
he kind of chuckles at you and looks at you quizzically.
But
And he says, "You're very near the home of the dragon. Did you know that?"
that Thardin were like this close.
Aye. We knew. We knew we're close.
You're going to kill it, you say?
Aye, we're gonna kill it.
Good luck with that, my friend.
Anything else you should tell us about this area? Up ahead, anything on the road?
You keep riding northeast on this very pass, back the way I come. You'll see the hold. And he tips the hood of his cloak and says, "Good day to you now," and continues on his way.
Thank you.
Thardin turns to watch him.
He's riding off back the way you came, to the west towards Fandolin.
Myrin will pull put his arrow back in his quiver, realizing that he hasn't shot a standard arrow in a while.
Willow, kinda odd. What was he doing out here? By himself?
I'm a few, I'm some feet up from them.
Myrin, you weren't able to hear any of this, but you watched it take place 100 feet away.
But I'm saying, is it just like kind of snowy below me?
The snow has let up a bit. It's getting into the dinner time hours if you're an early bird special type. So you had pretty good visibility as they stood there conversing. You saw the rider ride up towards them and give them some girth going around them as they stood there. And they were animated a little bit, but he did not stop until he got past them. And he stopped his horse abruptly, turned back around to face them. And they chatted for a few more minutes, and then he rode off to the southwest the way you came.
Do I see any movement from my position up here? In the air, small game, large game, anything?
Roll survival.
14 with the mod.
You do not see any visible forms of life, but you see animal activity.
I don't spot anything.
You don't see any game, but you see their activity.
If there was any snow out and a wood plank, I might even try a little sliding maneuver.
Well, there would be.
There might be.
Willow and Thardin, you see the elf appear from his stealth position, sliding down the mountain towards you.
It looks like he's having too much fun.
You are rejoined by your ranger companion.
I kicked the plank to the side. It was insignificant, but I walk up and say, well, that seemed uneventful.
Aye.
Yeah.
Where was he going? What was he doing?
He was going to Phandalin. Said he needed supplies.
He needed supplies for what?
I have no idea.
Didn't say.
We could chase him? We can chase him. I got a horse. Yeah.
I just wonder what one would need supplies for where he was, if he was going to Phandalin.
We didn't find that out.
What was he coming?
Just asked him
Was he
what
coming
was
back
ahead,
in?
and he just said the dragon. He didn't say. I would have thought maybe he would have said there's some game up ahead, or maybe there's some orcs or something we need to watch out for. But he said nothing. Didn't give us any information.
Well, in all of my years of hunting, I've never known one to just give away a hunt or the location of game.
Aye.
But I still wonder, what was he needing supplies for? This is remote territory. And he knows the dragon is here?
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was afraid of the dragon.
And he needed supplies. Is he fighting the dragon too?
No,
Do we need to
I
go
told
chase
him
him down, Myrin? Go get him.
Willow might have a point. Maybe we should go back and track him
Can
down.
we see him? Is he still like in sight? Like maybe in far distance?
As the party turns to look to see if the rider is still visible, you notice that he has moved at a pretty good clip at a gallop as soon as he was out of earshot from you guys, and he is far on down the pass.
We may have missed our opportunity. However, this is insignificant to the hunt.
Aye. And we need to get back to Nars, because he's going to be by himself. And it's getting closer to dark.
I'm concerned that I have not seen much activity. I
Well,
felt
the
in
thing
tune
is, I mean-
with this place, but in the big game sense. I imagine that when you said activity, I was thinking of it more like squirrels bouncing through.
What you noticed was tracks, like elk and moose type, gazelle type, mountain dwelling goat type creatures. You can see that they've been around and they've got trails. You could track
If
big
there
game.
are trails, yeah, I may even engage in a track at
Like
this.
that is what brought you to the point where you saw the rider. You were tracking one of these trails, probably looking for game.
So, but I would be looking for larger print, and if I found that, then that's when I would engage a tracking. If I would come across a large print, is when I would engage tracking.
You see a larger print that looks like it's a moose.
Okay.
You can see evidence of large hooved creatures.
Yeah. If it's the large, that would be my natural inclination. So, let's track that. Myrin would begin to kneel down into the snow or the mud, depending on where the tracks were, and maybe even put his hand in the print, getting something on his hands and maybe even tasting it and smelling it.
What does the rest of the party do? Myrin has led you back away from the pass where you encountered the rider, and you are currently a higher elevation in the hill, watching him track this wild game.
We'd probably follow from a safe distance.
From a distance is...
But you don't have really any trouble keeping him in eye shot. It's, there's trees about, but they are sparse. It's very rocky terrain.
Willow, do you think the dragon has scared away all the creatures around here?
That's kind of what I was thinking, yeah. I bet a lot of the bigger game might have been picked off by the dragon. The smaller things just were like, nope, goodbye, and left. They do that with, like, earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff, too. They're very smart.
Aye, the small creatures, they can make their way around.
Myrin is, like, enthralled in his hunt. He's, like, almost, you guys are talking, and he's, like, with you, but he can see you guys, and he's, like, sniffing the air and looking around. You probably never even seen him like this before.
It's kind of majestic to watch an elf in his favored terrain as he tracks a wild animal. I would love to see that. As you make your way across the cold, wind-blown foothills of the Sword Mountains, you happen upon a large, prone creature frozen in ice. You would first come upon its feet as you make your way across this animal trail. You would have seen these big, hairy ogre feet sticking out from a craggy outcropping of rock. And you make your way around to see that this creature, this ogre, is mostly encased in a block of ice.
I would motion for the party to come
Thardin. And an orc sickle.
You don't know what it is yet, Willow. You haven't seen it. You don't have eyes on it.
Is he telling us to come ahead?
You see the elf ranger wave you towards where he's standing. What do you do?
I approach. Try to go stealthily.
And the drow on horseback
I'll probably take a quick look around and proceed with caution.
follows you with caution, Thardin. As you approach Myrin, you can see the two large mammoth ogre feet sticking out from behind a craggy outcropping of rock.
Hey, what is it? It looks big. Like a giant or something.
like a block of ice. It doesn't look natural. Does it not look natural?
As Myrin studies the block, I would like you to roll a survival. Roll that at advantage.
15 on the first roll, 10 on the second, plus 3.
Sorry, what was the result?
18.
Oh wow, cool. Thanks, Mr. Ranger. With that kind of roll on this check, you can tell that the ice was not naturally formed, and that the ogre encased in it has deceased less than 24 hours ago.
Willow, this is recent.
This ogre's got the gross, yellowish, twinged fur. He's wearing some simple hide, ogre-fashioned garment. And and it has a knapsack attached under one arm, and it's prone, encased in some ice that there would be absolutely no way of explaining how it came to be there and froze in that shape.
I was wondering, and I think they were talking about it as we were going down, but I was even wondering the same thing of why we weren't seeing larger game. In the wilderness, you see they're everywhere.
As you are musing this, you catch sight of some spiky antlers moving in the distance.
Myrin would immediately draw his bow. If it doesn't see me, I could take a stealth shot at it.
You're pretty sure it doesn't see you. You've been speaking really, in hushed tones, and it's too far away to hear over the wind, and you are downwind from it, so it wouldn't be able to smell you.
Well, I would motion to Willow and Thardin that I've spotted it. Very traditional. And maybe even...
I didn't even see that we don't have Thardin. Do we want to go to break?
we could.
How long has he not been there?
Like,
2 minutes, 3 minutes?
So not
yeah.
long. Okay, I just looked down there and saw he wasn't there.
yeah, I think he was letting his dog out or
Let's go to break.
So the party began to track a stag, and in doing so came upon the body of a frozen ogre encased in ice.
I gave you guys the visual indication that I had seen this stag and to prepare yourself. I'm going to prepare a shot, and if it's successful, great. If not, we might have to do something. So, not that I was able to articulate any of that through this, but I meant that. So anyways, I'll go to pull off a stealth shot. I guess it would be a shot in stealth.
Roll for that attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're about 60 yards out from it, and it hasn't seen you.
15.
Your shot strikes true. Roll damage.
10.
Myrin, you've mortally wounded this stag 60 foot out. Your infused arrow struck it in the shoulder so that it is unable to run, and it's trying to limp away from you. It's not moving very fast.
It's not moving very fast? I'll run up to it and pull out a dagger.
You dash the 60 yards with a dagger in hand. You reach the beast.
And then I run up to it, if I can, and go to slit its throat with advantage 20.
You successfully slit the throat of the stag, and it goes down.
At the moment that it goes down, I close my eyes and I put my head because I was just kind of had it up, and I slit its throat, and as its life goes limp, I put my head into its fur, and it's sort of a ritual, but it's nothing that I've been trained with. It's more of an appreciation for the hunt.
snow begins to pick back up. What are Willow and Thardin doing? They just saw this go down.
I'll approach slowly and see if he needs help getting it back to camp.
Pull his head back up and... Willow, we might need your horse after all. Maybe we could throw this on and I can dress this back at the outcropping with Nars. I could use the assistance. You think your horse can handle it?
I guess I'll just sort of like motion at the stack. I'll go ahead and cast Speak with Animals, just so I can communicate with her a little better. Trusty, do you think you would be able to help us carry this back to camp?
Trusty is willing and able to be a beast of burden to you, and any other thing you may need in your service.
I will thank her, and then I will turn to the stag and thank the stag. The stag died so that we can have sustenance. It's a circle of life.
Myrin appreciates your appreciation. So he would ask for Thardin's help to toss the stag up over.
When you look back, you see Thardin. He's overlooking the ogre's body.
Thardin, you can roll for the same if you want. Make a survival check.
Okay. That's at no modifiers. He's not a survivalist. He rolled a 4.
Thardin, you're just kind of unsure how this thing died. It doesn't make sense to you that it would be encased in a block of ice.
With that, as Thardin's looking, he hears Myrin call him, turns around and heads up to go.
Wow, it's a magnificent beast. We're going to eat good tonight.
Yes.
And it was a clean kill, lad. Good shot.
Yeah, we need your help getting it up onto Trusty.
Aye.
And
Be much easier with your help.
I grab one end of it,
You're on the other end.
throw him up on the Trusty.
I'll just walk beside Trusty so that I don't overwork her.
You appear to your fellows as a Grim Reaper-esque character in a thick hooded black cloak leading a skeletal horse. You just exude this presence to them, and they're ever so much more appreciative of that in this moment. And the horse has been loaded down with the kill, sort of just draped over it as if you maybe would on the front end of the Dad's Dodge. And what does the party do? Thardin was regarding the ogre.
Myrin, Willow, I think... I don't know. I don't know if I'm on the right track or not, but...
Thardin may need somebody to state the obvious for him.
Thought in remembering back to many of our encounters, we have seen unnatural ice creation. It all is linked to the dragon. This incredible force that it exerts causes these creatures to be frozen, encapsulated in this block of ice. This could be us.
Do either of you know exactly how long the dragon has been here? Like, why would it suddenly be out wandering around?
We've seen it in days past. We've seen it on the road to the Tribord, on the Tribord Trail. We've seen it at the windmill. What's it?
You didn't actually see the dragon at the windmill.
We've
You
seen
saw
evidence of it.
That the dragon, when you were at the windmill and thinking back on it now, it's all starting to make sense. You saw evidence at the windmill that the dragon had been there and cracked it open like a walnut to get in there and take a Dabra as its dinner.
As I misspoke, we have seen evidence of the dragon all across the Sword Coast. It seems that if what I see here is true, this ogre has been frozen very recently. This would insist that we are very close to the dragon. Not to mention the rider on horseback mentioning the very same thing.
The rider on horseback wanted to make sure that you knew that the dragon was just right around the bend, geologically speaking.
So, can I use my primeval awareness?
Yes, you may.
Mm-hmm.
6 mile radius?
Yes.
6 mile radius?
Yeah, actually, finally, now that it's in my favorite terrain. No joke, that has not actually been able to be true. For the dragon, at least. Until now.
I'm going to ask you to read that primeval awareness to me so I get it
Sure.
exactly right.
As an action, you expend one ranger spell slot.
Which you are now burning.
To sense whether any aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, undead are present within 1 mile of you, or within 6 miles in your favorite terrain. This feature does not reveal the creature's exact location or number.
And how long is the duration on this action?
It does not
Your
say.
next turn, it doesn't say, so it's an instantaneous thing.
It is instantaneous, and
you
it's
just get
knowledge.
this awareness instantaneously, and as you expend your mana to invoke your primeval awareness, you feel the distinct possibility that that rider on horseback was exactly right, and there is a dragon present with you. There is a dragon present within 6 miles of you. To be more specific, if you continue traveling along the pass from whence you came, it will take you in the right direction.
We need to mind our step. The dragon is ever looming.
Party comes to the awareness that they are within a 6 mile radius of the dragon's current whereabouts.
Being that it's your favorite terrain, also the dragon's home, he knows every inch of this mountain.
Probably be wary of more ogres. There's one here, I'm sure there's others wandering around somewhere.
Aye.
Good point. However, we need to get this stag back to Nars so that we can get this prepared and eat for the evening and camp. I trust in the location that we have chosen, and if we can go back and come up with a solid and safe plan, I think that we might be able to effectively encounter this dragon. And so Myrin would start to move back up the path that we created to this position. If there wasn't anything around the ogre that stood out, we would probably leave and start.
What?
Anything out of the ordinary. If
You look at the ogre one more time as you pass by it, as that is on the path that you created. And as you pass by, you can see this ogre lying prone, encased in ice with its heavy sack.
there's a sack there, can we get into the sack, or is it frozen as well in this block? It's like all frozen. I know we saw the feet, but sticking out.
His feet are sticking out, like they didn't get encased. Like it looks like a huge, to use a colloquialism, ogre sickle with his feet sticking out as the stick.
Ogre sickle.
Ogre sickle.
And so you see this. You see this ogre sickle, and you do notice that he has a sack around one arm. It's in the sickle with him.
Could maybe Willow produce some kind of fire to melt around the sack?
Yeah.
Maybe we could get it out.
Yeah, let's see here. Oh, that's not actual fire. You know what?
We could light a torch.
We're gonna improv. We're gonna improv. This is gonna be great. Alright, I'm gonna cast Flame Blade.
You see the Drow hold up her fist, and a blade of fire ignites out of a hilt that magically appears in her hand. And
I will very, very carefully cut around where the bag is and kind of use the heat coming off the blade to help melt some of the parts. Because I don't want to be too aggressive. Like, I really don't want to break this thing out.
it's dead. Willow, it's dead.
As
Right,
Myrin is
well.
seeing this, he's still kind of like in shock that this is all happening. That you so cleverly are like pulling this out.
Drow carves the ice like a sculpture.
My Swiss Army knife, guys.
With her flaming blade, she cuts the sack free easily from the sickle of ice.
Alrighty, hit it.
The drow kneels down and looks inside the bag, and it contains a rusty dwarven helm, 2 halves of a splintered wooden shield, a tumbleweed, a crumpled up cowboy hat, a sackcloth doll in desperate need of restitching,
I'll take the doll.
and 3 health potions.
I only knew one guy that wore a cowboy hat, and that was Don John. I hope he didn't get attacked down there.
Yeah.
This ogre.
Surely not. We would recognize the hat.
This hat looks more like something Big Al Calzorn might wear, rather than what Don John was wearing. His was sort of one of those one flap, wide brim jobs.
Okay.
But, you know, cowboy hats are pretty cool. We could just, like, take it and take turns with it.
The drow takes the crumpled up cowboy hat and places it in the bag of holding.
Alright, well, there's 3 health potions here. I can't remember exactly. Can Nars make health potions?
Nars doesn't quite have the ability to brew health potions yet.
Okay. Then I think
Health potions are worth 50 gold apiece.
I think you 3 should have the health potions.
Well, for now, maybe we should all take one each. We don't know what we're gonna encounter on the road back.
Each of you puts a health potion into your personal stash, wherever that may be. Somewhere you can get to it quickly and drink it on an action. The party makes their way back up to camp. Nars has his alchemy set out, and he's looking at some things, and when you show up, he has the fire burning. In true elf ranger fashion, the light from the flames are not visible anywhere from the outside the bluff shelter, such as the terrain. Myrin brings the 2 of you back to it just as easily as if it were just a quick trip down the street.
Nice walk.
You make a fast dinner from the venison, and Nars uses an action to transform his tool set into a tanner's tool set, and then he goes to work doing his best trying to render the hide into some sort of usable piece of pelt for you to augment your gear, maybe stay a little warmer. I'll have to have him roll for that when we come back next time, as I plan to leave it here.
And so it's a really good kind of picturesque moment before what we all inevitably know that is the, encountering a dragon. It's these moments right here where you're just appreciative of the people around you and the things that you're doing, even it's the small things.
Well said.
Do you think we'll encounter the dragon tomorrow?
We're close. I believe by tomorrow we have a good breakfast. We should be able to make it where that dragon's held up.
That's our Thardin, always thinking about the next meal.
Aye.
So, do we want to sneak in stealthy and do it that way, or kind of scout the place out and just brutally assault the dragon?
What do we know about the layout of Icespire Hold?
We've been told we know about the pass entering in. I think that's the only thing that we really have been...
In Nars's vision, he has seen a trail that corkscrews up to the hold, and he has seen that it is two structures. One of them a smaller gatehouse, which the trail leads to. There's a bridge that spans from the gatehouse to the hold proper, and the hold has a wide open roof on top of it, which is where the dragon chooses to sleep.
And this is all what he saw in his vision.
And he's seen this in a vision.
If we need to, I can wild shape into a ant or a spider or something tiny and creep in and kind of get the feel of layout of something that would go undetected.
Your ability to get so tiny could be a benefit and undetected.
Yeah.
Aye, that may be. It would be very dangerous though, Willow.
Well, even if I'm able to just peek in, just to kind of get a glance around the place.
So, yeah, that's probably a good plan to find out what we can before we go in.
I would probably pick, at that time, I'd probably be picking Nars' brain about, the layout more, he's describing this in vision, and I'm like, okay, well, what about this part, and what about this part?
And from picking his brain, you should be able to create a map of the outside, the exterior of the fortress.
How tall are the ceilings, or I guess the cave tops in there? Would we have to worry about it having flight or anything in there?
Where?
In its
where?
cave.
They mentioned that he sleeps on the rooftop.
Are you talking about the dragon's lair or the
Dragon.
cave you're in now?
The dragon's lair.
It's a fortress.
Okay, so it would be enclosed. It would probably be safer to fight it indoors.
But we kept getting the note that it was on a rooftop.
That is the vision Nars has seen. The dragon he has seen the vision of the dragon sleeping in the center of the open rooftop on the fortress.
Okay.
And so if we catch it in its sleep, then
Element of surprise?
Well, it would be in a position where it could fly, but
I wonder if there would be a way to lure it indoors. I don't know if that would be worse, though.
I would imagine that it has some sort of refuge. Not that's not just the top of a rooftop somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere you'd have a dragon without a cave. Come on.
I mean, Nars made me the potion of flying, so in combat, if
with
we
the
Nardin, I almost said Nardin.
that's a celebrity couple.
That is the fucking celebrity couple of Nars and Thardin.
Oh god.
Oh, Nardin.
I mean, I
Nard.
can fly.
That's your adopted child.
So you guys will have to fill me in on this. I'm a little less knowledgeable about this area, so I'd imagine maybe Myrin knows more about it. Is there any historical significance to the fortress that it's in? Like, does it need to stay standing?
I don't know that Myrin would know about the history of the hold. Nars would, though.
I mean, basically, is anyone going to get upset if I cave it in?
Nars is going to tell you that he has tried to look into this place since he had the vision, and very little, if anything, exists on it. Very few people know of its existence.
Well, I know a spell called Erupting Earth. I could just, like, cave it in and... I mean, that'd be one way to do it. I don't know if that'd be,
It depends how big it is.
much.
One would assume that the people of Phandalin would have some fables of Icespire.
So you think we should...
Nay, Icespire Peak you can see from a clear day all the way from Phandalin. But nobody in Phandalin knew about the existence of this fortress on the other face of it.
The secrets
Well,
of
I think
Sword
the
Coast.
plan then should be is we scout it out.
Yeah. Fully agree with that.
We should also not encounter this dragon in night. We need every bit of visibility. So since we are so close, the next day we must wake early.
Wake early. How early? Arrive to the fortress before dawn. You estimate you have about 6 miles to go.
If we only have 6 miles, we could awake a little.
Yeah, 6 miles isn't too terribly far to walk.
Does it?
It's like a 2-hour walk max.
Yeah.
Not in this terrain. It'll take you 3 to 4 hours to walk it.
And it's narrow and yeah.
Basically, what amounts to a goat's trail is leading up to
Difficult terrain.
the side of this mountain to the gatehouse.
to the point where my ranger abilities does not assist you.
Yeah, Thardin's trying to look back and think. When we saw the dragon each time, what time of day was it?
You encountered the dragon at Dragon Barrow, serendipitously enough, and it was at sunset. When you encountered it at the Shrine of Savarus, where it took one of the horses that you were riding, it was well after dark. When you saw it en route from Falcons back to Phandalin, I believe it was midday, but that detail escapes me at the moment. And you also saw it once midday. I remember this is very early on in your adventures together. You saw it flying at a large distance as you were traveling the Tribor Trail, and that was also at midday, perhaps even late morning.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
so twice we saw him close to dark, twice we saw him midday.
Are these traditional dragon feeding hours?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if we can get into the lair while he's out.
and scout it out before he comes back.
You have a good point. This might be something that we could gain an edge on surprise. Maybe we could position ourselves while he sleeps.
Thardin, for my curiosity's sake, please tell me what that potion of flying does exactly.
When you drink this potion, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed for 1 hour, and you can hover. If you are in the air when the potion wears off, you fall unless you have some other means of staying afloat. This potion's clear liquid floats to the top of its container and has a cloudy white impurity drifting in it.
Cloudy white.
So the dwarf posits that we should figure out whether the dragon is at home or not before we storm the castle.
Right. And that's probably where...
And with his potion of flying, he could probably do that with ease.
I'm saving that potion for combat. I think in case he takes to the air when we're in combat, I want to be able to follow him. I think, though, Willow had the idea of changing into a spider or something, and that might gain us access to see the dragon.
Kind of get a better layout. I mean,
How long does your wild shaping last?
I believe it's 2 hours, but I can
I don't know
double
that that's enough time for a spider to make it
check.
to the
Doesn't
top
my
of the
bedroom.
fortress.
Maybe a small... Maybe something smaller that moves faster?
I don't know. Let's see. What could be a creature that she could change into that she has seen before that could infiltrate the castle undetected?
Yeah, I have a wild shape for 2 hours.
She could wild shape into something, but what?
I could still do something tiny. Oh, I could do a tarantula. Have you seen those fuckers run? Holy shit.
How fast does a tarantula move, Willow?
I don't know in miles per hour, but those
Well-
motherfuckers are scary.
Well, I would think we'd
Let's find out in miles per hour, and I'll tell you if it's feasible, if you can infiltrate the castle as a tarantula.
Right. Well, I'd
Well,
imagine
I mean,
we'd...
I was assuming I'd get, like, close to the
Right,
structure
I-
before I changed.
I'd imagine as a party
Well,
we'd get
that's
closer.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's
I'd imagine-
perfectly acceptable answer. If you want to walk all the way up to the front door, change into a spider, and try to infiltrate, that could happen.
Don't
Play
you
it
have
by
the
ear.
invisibility spell as well?
Yep.
These are all great ideas. I can't wait to see how you implement them. Do we have any other fireside business we'd like to tend to before we call the session?
Do I need to be attuned to that loot we picked up? Or am I already attuned?
You're attuned to it, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you spent the night with it, and you plucked around on it with one of those long rests, and you are now attuned to the Lute of Illusions.
Play us a song!
Kind of fairy tale-ish. We could use that in combat possibly also, maybe. I can play it now.
What does the ranger think about playing a song on the lute at fireside?
Play something quiet.
Yeah, so the dragon can't hear us. Actually, Thardin...
So nothing outside the crag where you were camped can hear you, would be his intention.
Alright.
The ranger makes you aware that enemies are all afoot in this terrain, not just at the hold where the dragon is layering.
And this area that we are in could create a amplification of sound.
I'll play a soft lullaby that my parents sing to me as a baby.
Thardin,
The ranger grants his approval as long as the volume is kept low, so that the party all must gather close around Willow and her lute to be able to hear the melody.
It's a lullaby. It's gotta be quiet.
When we were looking back, Thardin's wondering, when we were looking back at that ogres, how could we tell how long it had been frozen?
Myrin.
Say again.
Could we tell how long that ogre was frozen? Was it just recently?
It was within 24 hours.
Okay, so that dragon's very close.
What would Thardin say to that? Thardin would ask Myrin how long he thought the dwarf had been frozen. Let's hear it.
Myrin, how long do you think that ogre was frozen? You think it was long?
Within this day, if not sooner.
So the dragon's close.
It would insist that it's close.
But the dragon didn't feed on the ogre. So that means he only I don't know if that means he only feeds on animals or not.
Well, I mean, don't ogres travel in packs usually? They're usually multiple?
I think.
Am I wrong about that?
Well, this ogre wasn't just some random creature. It had loot.
Yeah. I wonder if it was part of a pack. Maybe it killed one, the dragon did, and then it fled like it did on us.
Maybe.
Throughout these lands, we've had issues with creature disturbances, and these ogres may be another one of them.
You are actually in ogre territory, being up in these mountains here. This is their habitat.
And it's possible that the dragon was defending his hold.
The ogres that you saw down below at Shrine of Savarus, which is just a little bit north of here, about 20 miles, those ogres had been forced down from elevations such as these by the dragon. Just so you know. Just so you know.
So the dragon's been here the whole time.
The dragon came to roost here about 2 months ago.
Okay, so this is a new thing. I didn't know if it was like sleeping up there for a long time or something.
It had been wreaking havoc for about a month before you received Nars' plea for help.
Yeah, we gotta get rid of this fucker.
And dragon sightings seem to have been increasing in recent days. Parbin told you that last time you talked to him that they'd heard of dragon sightings at least once a day in Phandalin. It's getting bolder.
With every day passing, I have a growing concern that we are not doing the service to Phandalin that we need to.
We are going to do a great service to Phandalin when we kill this dragon, and to all of the Neverwinter area. This dragon has been a scourge, and we're going to kill it. I'm going to drive this axe right through its head.
I hope to see that day.
Aye, lad, you will. You'll be proud of me when I do it.
This is the coolest thing I've ever been a part of.
And I'm glad you're with us, Willow.
Thanks for having me along.
We're proud to have you. I can't think of any better friends to be traveling with.
It's been a lot of fun.
And do know, as we can see what has happened to that ogre, as Myrin had mentioned, it could happen to one of us, or several, or all of us. We are putting our lives on the line for these people.
Yeah.
This might be one of our last good, fun nights we've had together. Because tomorrow could bring the death of some of us. Which I hope not. Because I feel confident I'm gonna kill that dragon.
You got this, Thardin. You got this.
That axe should assist you in that
The
goal.
dwarf's confidence is infectious to the group, and each of you think down deep in your heart that we might just be able to pull this off. And we'll call it there.